Welcome back, everyone, to the Beyond the Game podcast. I'm Owen Reynolds alongside my partners for today, Noah Petros and Tyler Ryan. Today, we're going to be talking about the Lions and their all season so far. Then, we're going to shift gears over and wrap it up with Catholic Central with their state championships in wrestling and hockey. Let's start talking Lions, who headed into the off season off a very disappointing 9-8 season. They still have a lot of work to do with a few holes still on the roster, but they made another big signing today with Isaiah Pacheco added to the roster. Noah, how have you felt so far this offseason about what Brad Holmes has done to try to improve this Lions team?
What's up, Owen? I think the Lions were in sort of like a more tough spot entering this offseason, and they were over the cap, and they had to cut and trade a lot of guys like Alex Anzalone, David Montgomery, Taylor Decker, and Khalif Raymond. Those guys were just like basically too expensive, and Brad Holmes thought that they weren't worth the contract. They did fix the position of need well by signing Panther center Cade Mays, but I thought they just could have done a little bit more in free agency to improve their O line.
Yeah, Ty, what do you got for?
I myself am not a big fan of the Amik Robertson let go because I felt like we had a very disappointing corner room and he was kind of the most reliable out of them. But I do like that they show consistent uh, trust in Arnold and Reed, which means they got to be doing something right in practice. And Montgomery, I like that. I feel like they definitely were not going to pay him. And Isaiah Pacheco, I like that. He can definitely take more of a back seat to Gibbs than Montgomery could have. And Anzalone, he probably just wanted more of a contract than the Lions were going to get him. And, it's only been a day, so you don't know what's in the works yet. And I'm kind of excited to see what Brad is cooking up
Yeah,
in the office.
Yeah, I love what you talked about with the cornerbacks because especially since the Terrion Arnold incident and now letting go of Amik, it's going to be sort of a question, the big question, I'd say, even more than the O line potentially now with the cornerback room because besides DJ Reed, who last year was even a little iffy, you can't really trust any of those guys like in a big way without Amik Robertson. So I really feel like their attention might shift to the cornerbacks more, even in the NFL draft coming up soon. And I wouldn't even be surprised if maybe they went for one at pick 17 instead of an offensive lineman now, which is definitely different than what we had seen coming into free agency for sure. And then Pacheco, I also love that signing by Brad. I feel like it shows that he's kind of like going to be in a similar role as Montgomery, just younger. And I know he's been injury prone, but if he can get back to like even a shadow of what he was his rookie year and his first couple years in the league, then I feel like the two-headed running back room with Montgomery and Pacheco could be very lethal. What do you guys got on that?
Uh, yeah, with his injury status, that's probably what they're going for is taking even more of a back seat role than Montgomery had. Less third down, little less power back formations that they had with Montgomery. And he proved that he could be an efficient running back one at a decently high level on the Chiefs. But then he got hurt. So now bringing him in as an RB2 feels like a perfect signing.
Yeah, completely agree, Noah.
I mean, I just felt like Montgomery was sort of holding Gibbs back of what he can really be because we still had to give Montgomery a lot of carries. So having Pacheco as like an RB2, who I feel like we're not going to give Pacheco as many carries, but he can still like hold the fort down for us.
Yeah, I feel like Drew Petzing is really just going to use him as more of like a goal line, like third and short type of plays and just getting Pacheco a blow, like rotating him in a couple plays each possession. I mean, I don't really feel like he's going to even have as much touches as Montgomery did. And I feel like they're just going to work him in slowly into the offense, and we'll keep seeing him get more and more carries as the season goes on. So now we talked about it a little bit, but the Lions, they decided to let go of Montgomery, Anzalone, Amik Robertson, and today they also let go of Khalif Raymond as well. So, how do you guys think they're gonna have to fill these gaps?
I mean, they did get what I feel like is a good trade for Montgomery. They sent him to the Texans for a fourth rounder, seventh rounder, and an offensive lineman, which they desperately needed. But I just feel like they could have tried to hold on to guys like Amit Robinson, and because their corner room, like you said earlier, is really bad, and they just need somebody to hold the road for now.
Uh, yeah. Uh, I thought the Montgomery trade was pretty good. A fourth and a seventh. Bringing in younger dudes to get rid of a 29-year-old running back who, running backs do start to get worn down after really their rookie deal. And, getting a lineman, he's not probably going to start at all, but at least if we get injuries, there is somebody that could step up.
Yeah, for sure. And what I saw when the biggest one that stood out to me would be the Khalif Raymond letting go. And I feel like this is the Lions signifying that they're going to be giving Isaac Tesla a lot more focus on this offense next season now with him basically being their only wide receiver three beside Amon Ra and JMO. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more of Tesla next year. I know he had a couple touchdowns this year, but not a lot of targets. I feel like we're going to see his targets increase a lot next season with letting go of Khalif Raymond.
Yeah, the only big question with Khalif Raymond was who's going to be our returner now. But they picked up Lovett last year in the 8th round, I think. And I think that's probably what they'll do with him.
Yeah, for sure. I think they'll definitely find a guy to at least fill in for what Khalif Raymond did on the return side of things. So, last question for the Lions. How you guys feeling about this O line? I know we talked about the trade for Montgomery for Juice Scruggs, but signing Cade Mays. What do you think?
I mean, the Lions do have 10 draft hits this year to go through, so I expect them to go more heavy on the O line and defense because honestly, if they can get their O line fits and they can get good corners in the draft, then they are again a Super Bowl contender in my opinion.
Yeah, I think just getting more dudes to fill gaps is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I feel like what they did with Mays was and Scruggs, and they're brought in a couple veteran guys, free agents. I feel like that also kind of signals that they're probably going to bring in a few young guys with the draft too, and they can be more of mentors and fill in until those younger guys will eventually take over their roles, hopefully. All right, let's switch it now over to Catholic Central, talking about two state champion teams, hockey and wrestling. Hockey won 6-0 over Northville this past Saturday to secure their seventh, yes, you heard that right, seventh straight state championship. And wrestling secured the win 43-16 over Heartland for their fourth straight state championship as well. Also, they had several individual state champions, including Wyatt Lees, who's the first Detroit Catholic Central Shamrock to be a four-time team and four-time individual state champion. Noah, first of all, how electric and dominant was that hockey team?
I mean, that CC performance against Northville was just outstanding. I mean, they went like 29-1-1 on the year, one of the best records in CC history, and they wrapped up their 7-peat with a 6-0 shutout. And honestly, they probably would have won an 8-peat if COVID didn't cancel their one season. So this is like officially like a great dynasty by Adama.
Yeah, for sure, Ty.
Uh, yeah, I mean, 29-1-1, one of the greatest records ever in CC hockey history. And I got to call the game where they won 8-0 over De La Salle, and now winning 6-0 over Northville. I mean, they've just been dominant game in, game out for their entire season, and it was truly special to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And you could tell how much the game truly meant to them, especially you could tell with the physicality and with the shots. I think they probably had at one point like 30 more shots on goal than Northville did, which is just completely insane. I mean, it's so hard to beat a team when you get outshot like that. And it just shows how disciplined and how hard they work truly. And the first 3 goals, I think, were all scored by juniors too, which showed that this team is not going to go away. They're going to still be here for a long time. And this is, like Noah said, a true dynasty. Next up, we're going to have to give our flowers to the wrestling team, who ended up ranking as high as 26 in the nation. What do you guys think about the wrestling team in their season?
I mean, that wrestling team led by Coach Hancock was just amazing. In 15 years, they won 12 state championships, and anyone would be amazed by that. And it just seems like whoever has came in, like, year after year has led them to state championships. And you heard him say at the assembly, winning just never gets old for them.
Yeah, that's a great line from Coach Hancock. Ty, do you got anything on wrestling?
Yeah, and like you said, winning never gets old. That was an awesome speech by Coach Hancock at the assembly. And I'm also excited for this wrestling team in these next couple years, as I know a couple freshmen who were on that wrestling team and were placing top 10 in their respective state individuals. So I think this team could go 7-0, win 7 straight state titles in the next couple years.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell I had the privilege of calling my first ever wrestling match this year, and what Coach Hancock, what he talks about truly, I got to talk to Dylan Gilcher, who used to be a wrestler here at CC, and what he talks about, what Coach Hancock tells the team is just they're trying to schedule these tougher teams. When I was there, they had like 4 of the top 25 teams in the nation there, and I don't think they won a match, but Coach Hancock, he's trying to get his guys playing the best competition, so then when they come into facing teams in the state level, then they could feel like they're just way better because they've played better competition like before. And you could truly see that when they just dominated every team in the state of Michigan in the playoffs, because they're used to playing the top teams in the nation. And then when you play the top teams in the state, there's a big difference there, like vast difference, which is crazy. And then we're going to go last question of the day, Ty. How truly dominant are these 2 programs? And like we said, do you think they're true dynasties in Michigan high school sports?
I think they stay dominant for so long with their faith. You know, they leave it out on there for God and Jesus. And another thing is the brotherhood. There's no guy on these teams that is miles better ahead of everybody else. They all lift each other up. They're all great in their own respective ways. And I think that's how they stay dominant for forever.
Noah, you got anything on that? Or
I mean, I think their dominance in Sedan comes through faith, but also hard work and dedication. And I mean, I hear that there's players that come to the gym at school as early as like 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. I mean, they strive to become the best. That's because they put in the work as if they are the best.
well said, Noah. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Beyond the Game podcast. I'm Owen Reynolds alongside Tyler Ryan, Noah Petros. We'll see you guys in the next one.